Hello, everybody. This is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and welcome to News of the Week, episode 18. How are we all feeling after week 14 in the NFL? Well, as a Seahawks fan, it's another loss for us, and now we're 6-7. We're on a four-game losing streak, and it is the first time in Pete Carroll's career that has happened under his leadership of the Seahawks. So, to tell you how I'm feeling in a word, very dreadful and spiteful, but we'll see what happens in week 15 versus the Eagles. Anyways, before we get into today's episode, if you like this video, please consider giving it a like as it helps out the channel more than you will know. And if you really liked it and would like to see any future content from me, please consider subscribing. Anyways, let's get into news of the week, episode number 18. And I called it the season of unpredictability because, man, oh man, there's 4 weeks left, and we're no closer to seeing who is making the playoffs than when we started the season. It's been a very topsy-turvy season, as it turns out. So, let's start off like we do each episode with the week 14 recap. And let's get to the week 14 buys. The Commanders had a bye at 4-9, and the Cardinals had a bye at 3-10. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is all the bye weeks done for this season. So I believe there's no more bye weeks to come to. But we start off on Thursday Night Football with the Steelers taking on the Patriots. It was a 21-18 victory for the Patriots. And man, the Steelers as of late have been falling and falling hard at 7-6 now. It's a little bit more dire. And with the Patriots, even though they won this game, they are 3-10, and they are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Next up, we have the Jets versus the Texans, a 30-6 win for the Jets, 5-8 now, and they're still clinging on to life. And sadly for the Texans, they're at 7-6, and they've lost CJ Stroud. He is doubtful to play for this week 15 matchup when they come up against. So it'll probably be David Mills at starter QB for the Texans, at least for the next week. Next up, we have the Ravens versus the Rams, and it was a 37-31 victory for the Ravens in OT. And man, this was a really, really close game. And why I said it's an unpredictable season is that certain teams you expect to win, certain teams you expect to win, certain teams you expect to lose. And a lot of what I've seen this year has been just, oh, you're expecting this team to win? Oh, they end up losing the game. Oh, you expected this team to not even compete? Well, they've now competed. And, it took the Ravens OT to beat the Rams at 6-7. It was a walk-off punt return, but, good win for the Ravens regardless. And thank you, Ravens, because now the Rams are at 6-7, same as the Seahawks. So we still have a chance to get that second spot back in the NFC West. Anyways, let's move on. It is the Saints versus the Panthers. Now, this one was expected. 28-6 win for the Saints. And if you're just looking at the score, you could say, oh, that was a blowout. But honestly, the Saints really their offense has been kind of sluggish. And Derek Carr got booed when he got brought in for Taysom Hill. So the Saints are still not happy, even after a win. They're now 6-7. They're still in the hunt for a playoff berth in the NFC South. So we'll see what happens with them. And the Panthers, just season's over, man. Pack it up, go home, and let's see what you guys can do in 2024, 2025, the next season. The Bengals are up next versus the Colts, and it was a 34-14 win for the Bengals, and Jake Browning's legacy continues to improve. They just keep on winning, man. They just keep on winning. This was a very good showing. 7-6 now for the Bengals, 7-6 for the Colts. And man, there's a lot of 7-6. There's a lot of 6-7s in this season. It's been a very interesting season. I can't wait to see what happens in week 15 for both of these teams. Next up, we have the battle of the NFC South, And to take the division lead now, the Falcons versus the Buccaneers, 29-25. Buccaneers win it and take the division lead over the Falcons. 6-7 are both teams. And again, like I've said multiple times on these News of the Week episodes, we're not going to see this division conclude until week 18. Like I completely believe that because there's the three contenders right now. So guys, just keep on dogfighting because you're in the middle of a dogfight right now. Next, we got the Browns versus the Jaguars, a 31-27 victory for the Browns. And who knew Joe Flacco could manage a game in 2023? He's had a very good run of it with the Browns. He's now signed a 1-year contract with the Browns that could earn him $4 million in incentives. And he has now been named the Browns starting QB for the rest of the season. So hopefully Joe Flacco can lead the Browns to a playoff berth. That would be something very special. For the Jags, 5-5 as well. You guys are a little bit falling behind. And, I don't think they should have put Trevor Lawrence in this game because he was coming off of a sprained ankle. I know he cleared, he was ready, medically ready to go, but man, he really didn't look great out there at all. So I hope this was just a fluke and Trevor Lawrence will be ready to go for week 15. Next up, we have the Bears versus the Lions, a 28-13 victory for the Bears. Who knew that the Bears would win this game? If I had told you they're now 5-8 on the season and the Lions fall to 9-4, they've lost their way for the better part of like 2 weeks now, where they could let this slip away. They could let this division slip away from them. I hope they don't, but it didn't really look good for them. So I hope they bounce back in week 15. And Bears, honestly, you guys have a 6% chance of making the playoffs. So keep on winning and we'll see what happens at the end of the season. The 49ers versus the Seahawks is the next one up, a 28-16 victory for the 49ers. I was kind of expecting this. The 49ers clinched the NFC West. They are the first team to clinch a playoff spot, and they are 10-3. Seahawks are 6-7. If you would like to see my full reaction to this game, I would recommend going to the Seahawks game recap playlist, and it will be there for you. This was just a very difficult game, but hopefully we can bounce back against the Eagles in week 15 on Monday Night Football. And next on the list, we get to one of the most boring games in the NFL. It was the Raiders versus the Vikings, and it was a 3-0 victory for the Vikings. That is right. In an NFL game in 2023, we only saw a field goal. A field goal. That is mental. 5-7 for the Raiders. Just I don't know what to say. Good try, I guess. Your defense really showed up, I guess. Um, you know, improvements. And for the Vikings, you guys really, I don't know what happened to you in that game. Honestly, I have no idea. You're 7-6 though, so take the win where you can get it, and let's see if you guys can push for a division lead in the next 4 weeks. Next up, we have the Chargers versus the Broncos, a 24-7 win for the Broncos. 4-7 for the Chargers, not looking good. And considering who got injured this week, your season's pretty much done unless Ethan Stick can pull out or Easton Stick can pull out a massive turnaround for you guys. But for the Broncos, good win, 6-7, and you guys could really start making some big noise, especially with how this NFL season has gone with all the 6-7 teams out there, with all the 7-6 teams out there. You guys could really push the envelope. It should say you're 7-6, not 6-7, but that was my bad. Next up, we have the Chiefs versus the Bills, a 20-17 win for the Bills. And honestly, all I heard about over the past couple of weeks from this game, like from this timeline of this, it was just Patrick Mahomes losing his mind on the sideline because of the refs. It was a very emotional game. It was a beautiful play that Travis Kelce made with that lateral, but again, offsides are offsides, man. I'm not gonna get into it, but 8-5 for the Chiefs, guys. your wide receiver core, I've been talking about this a lot with you guys because that's been my biggest concern with you guys. You guys don't seem as dominant as you were in the past, and you guys have got to figure out a way to start winning games because your team just doesn't look right. I don't know what needs to change, but something really needs to change quick. For the Bills, 7-6, you guys are building back up. We'll see what happens when it hits playoff time because you guys have an interesting journey ahead of you guys. Next up, we have an NFC East matchup, and this one was for the division lead as well. The Cowboys versus the Eagles, 33-13. Cowboys win 10-3 now, and 10-3 are the Eagles. Man, this division looks like it's going to be a dogfight till the very end if these teams keep doing this. And for the Eagles losing to the Cowboys 33-13. We'll see if you guys can continue that form against the Seahawks. I pray because man, we just need to snap this 4-game losing streak. And we get to the Giants versus the Packers, a 24-22 win for the Giants, 5-8. Now are the Giants, man, again, unpredictability. Who expected the Giants to come in and beat the Packers? I don't think anybody would have, considering how Julian Love and Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers play in December. That is their first loss under Matt LaFleur in his coaching time here with the Packers. But still 6-7 for the Packers. This was a unfortunate circumstance for you guys. I think you guys can really bounce back in week 15. And for Monday Night Football, it was the Titans versus the Dolphins in a major upset. 28-27. Titans win and topple the Dolphins 5-8, 9-4. And honestly, this just shows that every team is beatable. Every good team, everybody that says, oh, this is a good team that should stop this team, yeah, every team is beatable now. And that's what I really like because there's no, oh, well, we're going to go into this game and we're going to know that this team's going to win. No, because anything can happen in the NFL. And that's why I really like watching this season because any result is just a 50-50 coin flip. So good win for the Titans. Dolphins, I know you lost a guard in this game, and you also lost Tyreek Hill for the majority of that second half, I believe. So hopefully you guys can bounce back in week 15. Let's get to the week 14 injury report, and let's start off with the Chargers. Justin Herbert placed on IR December 12th, and he fractured his right index finger. He is out for the season. He will need season-ending surgery. And man, again, why I said the Chargers season is now done is because without your starting QB, man, I don't like your chances of making the playoffs. But hopefully, Justin Herbert will come back in 2024, 2025 very strong and very healthy because I really like him as a quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback and can't wait to see him play much better. But next up on the list, we have the Bears, and it's Yannick Ngakoue, defensive end, placed on IR December 13th, and he broke his ankle. So he's out for the season. He broke his ankle against the Lions this week, and man, I really like Yannick Ngakoue. I think he's still a capable guy, and it really sucks to see him, you know, get some things moving in this season, and then of course he gets injured, so that stops all his momentum. So I wish him all the best and a speedy recovery for the 2024-2025 season. Hopefully he can get back and keep competing at a high level. Next, we have the Browns, and it's Grant Delpit, safety. This one sucks. December 13th, placed on IR, groin injury, will miss the next 4 games, so is going to be out for the rest of the regular season, but hopefully there will be playoffs involved. And the reason why I say it sucks is because I actually really like Grant Delpit. I think he's an underrated guy. From what little I've watched of Grant Delpit, I just like his tackling. I like the way he covers. I like the way he does things on the field. So I wish him all the best and hoping that he will be ready come playoff time if the Browns make it there. Next, and finally on the list, we have Connor Williams, guard, placed on IR December 12th, and he has a knee injury. He will miss the rest of the regular season, and this is a big blow because Connor Williams, for the Dolphins, man, losing to the Titans in a big morale dump like that. You've also lost Tyreek Hill. He had his ankle taped up. I think he'll be okay to go for week 15, but we'll have to see. But losing losing one of your offensive linemen is huge. And he'll miss the next 4 games, but man, that's the rest of the regular season. You could honestly really miss him going down the stretch. So hopefully, you guys are ready to plug that hole. Who is making the 2023 playoffs? There are still 30 teams that can mathematically make the playoffs heading into week 15. That is 4 weeks. That's completely insane because the only team that has clinched a playoff spot is the 49ers in the NFC West because they are 10-3, and nobody, not even the Seahawks, can catch up to take their spot. That's just insane. The only two teams that have been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs have been the Panthers at 1-12 and the Patriots at 3-10. So it's mental. It's mental that 30 teams by week 15 of the NFL season can still mathematically make the playoffs. I understand that teams like the Giants, Bears, you name it, Raiders may not make the playoffs realistically because they have such a low chance. But like the Giants and Bears, perfect example, they have 6% chance to make the playoffs. So nobody's counted out of this, man. And it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Like the Titans just beat the Dolphins this week. The Bears just beat the Lions this week. Who saw that coming? The the Giants, after having a terrible start to the season, have made it back to 5-8. Like the Broncos are another perfect example. They make it to 7-6 after having 0-5 at the start of the season in the first 5 weeks. So anything can happen. Um, there's 4 weeks to go, and I can really hardly wait to see when all the dust is settled who makes it out of this playoff scrum. I hope the Seahawks can make the playoffs. Ultimately, I really hope they just squeak in there and make some noise in the playoffs. But even if they don't, I'll be mad and a little angry, and you'll know my frustrations. But even if they don't make the playoffs, it'll suck. But however, as a football fan, to see the standings this close and this unpredictable, it is really an interesting season to watch so far. And I can't wait to see who makes it out alive in this playoff race. Because at this point, anybody who's made predictions about where this thing is going to go, who's going to make the playoffs, who's not, you can just throw those predictions in the trash because they must be kind of out of the window by now. And the final thing I wanted to talk about for this episode was the NFL is expanding international games. Ian Rappaport reports that the NFL has approved an international game in Sao Paulo, Brazil for the 2024 season. The NFL also says that there is a potential for 8 more international games in 2025. When I heard this news, I wasn't as upset as a lot of people I've seen online, especially on Instagram, is where I saw the most hate for this. Honestly, I think this is good for the sport to grow more of an international audience. Look at how well the London Games have done over the past couple of years since the NFL has started doing them. I really don't understand the argument that it's bad for the sport because people worldwide already watch the NFL. So why not just put some games in their countries for other fans to enjoy them? This move gives the NFL more exposure to a international stage. And people were saying, "Oh, it really sucks. It really sucks that, they're taking the US out of the NFL and they're putting them in different places." But that's how you grow an international audience. You can say, "Oh, it's for greed, it's for any of that." But a lot of these fans, a lot of these international fans, like for me, I'm a Canadian, and you know, I'm not going to go down and watch my Seattle Seahawks play because I can't afford that. Personally, I cannot afford that. So it really sucks to not have that experience and to have international games. Like, I bet Brazilian fans can't even make it to America to watch their favorite team play because it'll cost a fortune for them to be there. So that is why we have international games so that we can get more exposure, so that potentially down the road we could put a team in London, or we could probably put a team in Brazil if we wanted to, or we could put a team in Germany if we wanted to, and see what happens there. I get the argument that, oh, it sucks because travel and time zones and all that must crush the spirits of some teams, and it takes away home field advantage for one team or the other, and it really sucks. But to look at the bigger picture, Roger Goodell has expanded the NFL to an international stage. So it's really honestly the pros outweigh the cons of the situation. It brings more money into the league, not only for the league, but it brings more exposure and more fans also with it to the league of football, so that more people can enjoy and really care about this fantastic sport of American football. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you think more international games ruins the sport of American football or not. I will love that debate in the comments. Just keep them civil. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And this is Ryan Koki of the Seahawks Recap Show signing off. And I will see you on Tuesday as I will be recapping Monday Night Football. Eagle or Yeah, it is the Eagles versus the Seahawks, and I will see you all then. Go Hawks, go! And let's see if the Seahawks can make it to 7-7 on the season.